And then we get to the Labyrinth Ball. Are you guys familiar with the Labyrinth of Jareth Ball? Yeah? Who doesn't know it? Wow. All right. This is the best costume party of the year. It's in Los Angeles. They just moved location. It's July 4th weekend this year. It's the same weekend as Anime Expo. Just tough for some people. But it's a fantastic masquerade ball. If you like people watching, if you love costuming, don't be intimidated if you go online and see the pictures. Some people work all year on their costumes. Other people just will wear a suit and wear a mask. You're not allowed into the event unless you're in some sort of costume. But it is a great community. It's a very creative, inspirational community. Every time we leave there, we have so many ideas and so inspired that you're ready for your next costume. You're already planning next year's costume. So I highly recommend the Labyrinth of Jareth Ball because it's a very inspirational evening. And it's 2 nights now. So we had done that event a couple times, and my wife used to work on the Harry Potter movies in the marketing department. So she would see a lot of the costume references of the ghosts. You've all seen the Harry Potter movies, right? Remember the ghosts that were in the first 2? It's a shame because in the films you don't really see, you don't really see the detail in these ghost costumes, which is amazing. All the seams that they use are turned out, and the seam allowance is out and frayed, and there's just all this depth and detail to these costumes that if they weren't there when they do the computerized apparition effect, you wouldn't see that detail missing, but there would be something missing in the overall design. But so to see these things in person, they're pretty awe-inspiring costumes. And so my wife Robin, she plays Lady Potts with the League. She's here. She just had this great. She's like, I want to make a ghost costume, but I don't want to just do a ghost costume. I want it to float and wave and light up and glow. I'm like, oh yeah, great. But I was still the steampunk thing. I was learning that it was called steampunk, and I loved that. I loved the look, and it's really great to do group costumes. In Labyrinth Ball, a lot of people do group costumes, and group costumes are very powerful because you can really say something. You can really have a strong impact when you're sort of doing a themed group together. Were you guys here last night at the masquerade dance? Yeah. Last night, did you see the steamrollers? There's some costuming friends of mine, and they always do group costumes together, and they've got some great ideas. And it's a big impact when you see a group like that. So that's what we wanted to put together for Labyrinth, was she really wanted to do a ghost, and she was pushing the ghost. Do a ghost with me. I didn't really want to do a ghost. I wanted to do steampunk. I really want to do more of the steampunk thing. And, oh, but do a ghost. Well, unless I was doing some sort of ghost that was, I don't know, like a busting your ghost or something like that. And I'm like, oh, steampunk Ghostbuster would be awesome. So that year we went, there was, wound up being 3 or 4 busters and about 3 ghosts, I think. So, and it was a great impact because it was 7 or 8 of us, this big group with these ghost costumes. The gals used some glowing wire in their outfits, so their outfits actually do glow. I think there's kind of, if you haven't seen them live, on the back of the picture, that sort of glowing blue, that's real. That's not Photoshop. So the outfits are amazing, and when you photograph them, the sort of them inside, they're all black. They just sort of disappear. And it was a fantastic impact. We just sort of naturally started shticking when we were at Labyrinth Ball. Just the sort of, running around chasing the ghosts. All this sort of stuff naturally started unfolding. Some people that were originally in the group kind of left. Other people came on. And we started getting requests to go places and, appearances to show up somewhere. And we can't always keep doing this stuff. We can't be all over the place, and there's still funding to this stuff's not expensive to do. So people would start saying, well, we'll pay your gas money. We'll pay for you to be there. And then suddenly it was like, wait a minute, why don't we just make a performance group out of this? I mean, it's going back to that whole thing that I was talking about, community and the sets and the costuming. And so we thought, well, why don't we start putting together a little performance group and see if people go for it. We performed at the Labyrinth Ball as performers last year. And our whole group and parts of the group have been all over the country now doing little stuff. And And it's been a fantastic experience because all these guys are good friends of mine. There's Dwayne, the older gentleman in the group. He's a buddy of mine from the pirate community. He and I have been doing pirate stuff for 10, 15 years. And he is just a fantastic personality. He just naturally fit into the group. Andrew, Baron von Fogel, is somebody I met at Labyrinth Ball several years ago. And we just sort of had this sort of same vision and idea. Russ, our zombie butler, he's just a guy I met online. It was the steampunk community was developing. And we went to an early meetup and just started hanging out and talking, and he was a cool guy. And first year he went to Labyrinth with us was the zombie butler. You guys have seen the zombie butler, right? Okay. Russ is phenomenal. This guy does not break character, okay? Russ is amazing. And there was, I forget what it was, there was some spark of idea I thought it would be really cool. And maybe it was just that sort of typical Victorian gentleman that always has their manservant there, and the fez was kind of a cool idea. Just sort of, I don't know, I just liked that imagery. But we thought having a zombie that was domesticated for the League, since we're kind of paranormal investigators, that would be perfect. So this whole character just sort of kind of quickly developed, and we just thought, oh, we'd play with it. We didn't know it'd become like a major character.
And it's a nice tongue-in-cheek reference to Shaun of the Dead.
Yes, I mean, there's a little reference with them all over the place. There's a little Fido in it, and there's a little Shaun of the Dead, and a lot of our little favorite zombie stuff, because, I mean, we love zombie movies and the zombie genre as well. And and none of us really knew Russ that well the first year he went to Labyrinth, and he never broke character, probably for 5 or 6 hours. Once he got dressed in the parking lot, and he just sort of started feeling, again, that costuming, he just started feeling this character, and he just sat there. He would drool. He's a big guy, so he kind of sways, and you think he's going to fall over. Just watch him when you see him around. He's here today. And one of my favorite stories about Russ, we finally get done. I think we were at Labyrinth, they closed and kicked us out. He's still a zombie, still playing zombie. We get about 2 blocks away. We parked about 2 blocks away. He finally gets into the parking lot, and he's still stumbling like a zombie. And suddenly he just goes, oh, shit. And we're like, oh my God, what did you just do? And it was phenomenal, and it was just rock solid. We're like, you're in. I don't know, I mean, there was no official League of Steam at that point. We didn't know what we were doing, but we're like, we don't care. We want you to hang out with us. Because that was phenomenal. And every time he does stuff like that, that audience reaction, it's amazing the feedback that you get. Because it's very inspirational to get that feedback from the audience. So that's a little bit development of Zombie, and we had no idea that it was going to happen. So I think when the League really started taking off, well, I don't want to say taking off, developing and becoming something more, we really wanted to get away from being called the Steampunk Ghostbusters, because we thought we wanted to do more than just Ghostbusters. We didn't want to ride on the coattails of the Ghostbusters name. We really wanted to do more with the world, because we thought there's so much creativity in our group. Russ, for instance, does computer animation. If you saw the Leprechaun episode, the computer animation, that Russ did that. We have seamstresses and designers and architects and web designers, and we almost have our own little production team, complete production team in this group. And we thought it'd be cool just to make a couple videos. And Andrew and I kept talking about it because we love just talking about it. I jumped ahead. I'm going back to, Steampunk Ghostbusters. Because we wanted to develop more of a world, and we thought we can hunt vampires, we can hunt werewolves, we can do all this sort of stuff, and we can almost not set a limit on where we go, and really keep this open world. And as the world's developed, we have sort of put some limitations on it, just because, for instance, like high fantasy, we don't really want to go into dragons, because it takes you a little out of the world that we developed. And I think the world that developed, to me, my inspiration is Doc Brown. You guys seen Back to the Future, the third one when he's in the Old West? I love that, because to me that's sort of contemporary man's way of thinking, but he's stuck in sort of Old West where he only has certain tools and certain things to make what he knows how to make, but he can't make it the same way. And I love that idea, because to me that's sort of that extra little, that's that extra science fiction. So just me as an artist and as the league, we really wanted to keep it as real and tangible as possible, so you buy into it. And if you see a lot of the stuff that we've created, it kind of makes sense, because a lot of the stuff we base it on something that's familiar to you. So when we start feeding you a little bit of the fantasy, you kind of just buy into it, which is a lot of fun, and it's a very theatrical presentation. So it's not just hey, this stuff kind of looks cool and it kind of does stuff. When you sort of learn about it all, you kind of buy into it and go, wow, are those really baby electric eels that are shocking me? Yes. So that's kind of the fun thing that we really developed like that, and that's when we decided we needed another name than just Steampunk Ghostbusters, and created the League of Steam, Supernatural, Troublesome, Ectoplasmic, Apparitional Management. It's a mouthful, which is why it's just Steam. And so as that started developing and we started developing more equipment, we wanted to do something more than just show up places and show off stuff. So Andrew graduated from RISD a couple years ago and studied film, and that's an art school in Rhode Island. And he got a fantastic little camera for his graduation present. Russ does a lot of computer stuff. And we just thought, hey, why don't we just take the camera, go to the old zoo, and just shoot something. Something fun. We have the costumes, we have the equipment, let's just do it. And that's Monkey Business. That was our first thing that we shot, and it got such a great response, and we had such a fun time doing it. Well, and that was seat of our pants. That was where we got there, and we thought, well, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. Let's have like the monkey cages, and we rigged the hat on a string, and it was just very simple, low-tech stuff. And it was kind of developed and shot, I think, in 4 or 5 hours. We did the whole thing. And it just sort of went from there. It got a good response, and we had another idea. So I think Twilight was the second one, just because that was funny to go vampire hunting in the Twilight line. So it just kind of grew from there, and then the performance stuff started growing as well. And so now we currently have. Did anyone go to the Wild West convention in Arizona? Yeah. That was an awesome, fun time, and we developed. We now have an hour-long stage show, The Benefits of Zombie Domestication, and it's a fun little show that just kind of shows you why it's good to have a zombie in your home. It's not a good idea, but no, trust us, it's good. And we did a little. I think it was at Bar Sinister a year or so ago. We did a sort of a test run of that show. And it was well received, and we had more ideas, and we've developed it now into this hour-long show. And we're going to start shopping it around more places, and hopefully.
That's how Repo the Genetic Opera got started. Do you guys have your eyes on doing a feature film?
Oh, we've been talking about it for a while, and we've had a lot of producers talk to us. It's just write the check, and then we'll talk. So a lot of people have ideas. It's just we can't keep. We still have day jobs, so we can't keep giving up everything and put everything into it. So it's this constant balance of how do we still able to pay our rent, because the League of Steam isn't totally doing that right now, but it's enough to keep us going, which is great. So, and a feature film would be fantastic. I think right now we'd really love to do a TV show, and I'm not really allowed to talk about our ideas for that, but I think the TV show idea that I have in mind would be awesome. And I think Hollywood's really starved for new creativity. So, and steampunk's getting so much more recognition now. I mean, there's steampunk jewelry at Claire's in the mall now. So.
How did you get the music video gig?
Probably Comic-Con. It was Comic-Con.